Okay. Now please answer. Is it audible, visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. So please see this now. Uh, static static rotor resistance control. Okay. So what is this method? Is that we have seen last class that by controlling the rotor resistance we can control the induction motor. This is the thing which we have seen already in the last class, even in the previous induction motor classes also you might have studied that by controlling the rotor resistance you can control the induction motor. So here the method is that how do you control the rotor resistance? We'll control the rotor resistance using static devices. Using static devices we will control. What are the static devices? The static device in the sense these devices that power semiconductor devices. Okay, using the power semiconductor devices we will control the rotor resistance. Okay, then we'll bring this circuit here. Draw this here directly. So this is three-phase AC supply which will go to the stator, I hope you know this is a stator, this stator, whereas this is rotor. Okay, so the three phases you connect to the stator, then the rotor has another circuit. Okay, the rotor has another circuit that I am going to draw now. Okay, so so what is the circuit you will find out for the rotor is that there is a three-phase rectifier. There is a three-phase rectifier. So you tap the three phases here. The three phases of the rotor you tap here. Okay, then after the rectifier you have an inductor. The purpose of this inductor is that it's a large value. The purpose of this inductor is that to maintain the current flowing through it constant. That's the purpose of this inductor. Then you have a resistor R, and across the resistor you have a switch. Okay, so this is the switch BJT. Okay, so now please see this now. So how it works is that you have two cases: switch is on, switch is off. S is on. Okay, S is on. So if the switch is on, what will happen if the switch is on? The BJT will look like a short circuit. So it's something like this. I will draw only this part. I will draw only this part of the circuit. I will draw here this side. Then it becomes something like this. That inductor is there, then resistor, then short. This is ID. Current flowing is ID. So then what do you find out now? The current ID will entirely flow through this ID. ID will flow through this because this is a short circuit. You turned on the switch here. Then in that case, then in that case, now let me take this point is as A, this point as B, and the voltage across this I will take it as VD. I will take the voltage here as VD. Then what is VD here now in this case as it is short circuit? VD is equal to 0. This is VD. This is VD. What is the okay VD? What is the resultant resistance across these two terminals AB? I will write RAB, resultant resistance. What is the resultant resistance here? You will find out. The resultant resistance you will find out here is that R is in parallel with the short circuit. So these values are, so R in parallel with 0. Then you will get the answer 0. So effective So the RAB, the resistance across AB now becomes 0, whereas the voltage drop across also 0 because it is short circuit. Now second case, S is off. If S is off, what is the circuit diagram it looks now? The circuit diagram it looks now is that inductor is there, then resistor is there, then this is now open. This is now open. So this is ID. So the entire ID this time will flow through the R. So this is ID. Okay, the entire R will flow through this. Okay, then what is VD now this time? This time VD is equal to ID into R, because the entire current flows through the resistance here and the voltage here is VD. The voltage here is VD I have taken. So VD is equal to current into resistance, ID into R. Then what is RAB this time? RAB, that is the total resistance across A and B. So this time as it is open, so simply that resistance is R. So these are the values. These are the values for two different cases, switch is on, switch is off. Now I would like to draw the waveforms, waveforms of VD and waveforms of RAB. Okay, first I will draw the waveform of RAB. Then what you came to know here, it is T on, it is T. Okay, so you see yourself that what you will find out here is that simple thing that till when the switch is on, what is RAB? You got 0. When the switch is off, what is the answer? You got R. So you will get something like this. So this is the value, this is the waveform for the R. So this height is R. Height is R. Okay, this height is R. So now similarly, what is the waveform for VD? I want to find out the waveform for VD. So what is the waveform for VD? This is VD. The same thing, T on till this is T on, where this is T. So what is the answer you got here? It is T on, it is T. You see yourself. So VD is equal to 0 when the switch is on. VD is equal to IDR when the switch is off. So you will get similar kind of waveform. Similar kind of waveform you will get here. Now what is the height of this one? The height of this one, okay, is ID into R. So this is VD waveform. So once we got these waveforms, okay, simultaneously, okay, then what we are going to do is that we will find out what is the effective, what is the effective resistance. What is the effective resistance? So R effective here means the average of this waveform. We will find out the average of this waveform. This waveform. So what is the average of this waveform? I will say R effective. What is the average of this waveform is that 1 by time period integral 0 to time period, okay, RAB dt. So you will get here 1 by time period. Now here 0 to T on is one part and T on to T on another part. So T on to T it is there, but 0 to T on the value is 0. So R dt. So you get the answer here, R into T minus T on whole divided by T. And then when you divide this with T, then R into 1 minus T on by T is alpha duty ratio. So this is the effective resistance. So now we got the effective resistance. Okay. Once we got the effective resistance, now what is the power dissipation in this? What is the power dissipation? So how do you find out the power dissipation? Power dissipation P average is equal to resistance. We know the current flowing through this is ID. So what is the power dissipation? I square R. So ID square into R. Here R value is how much? R into 1 minus alpha. This is the thing. Okay. For example, if I take now while I calculate all these things, while I am calculating all these things, we forgot one thing. What is the thing we forgot is that we have not forgot, we have assumed that the inductor does not have any kind of resistance while we do this. But assume that RD is the inductive reactance. Sorry, inductor resistance. Means inductor has, I hope you know this thing, that inductor has windings. So the windings have some resistance, that is RD. Then what is the effective resistance? This becomes now. So without RD, it is R into 1 minus alpha. But when you include RD, its value is RD plus R into 1 minus alpha. This you will get here. This is when you include the when you include this resistance, when you include this inductor resistance. When you don't include, it is R into 1 minus alpha. When you include, it is RD plus R into 1 minus alpha. Okay. Now one more thing is that assume that the rotor current, a single phase rotor current, is I2. I2 is the current in the rotor. Okay. So if I want to draw the waveform for this I2, see this now. So what is the waveform for I2 you will get is that few things you must understand while you draw I2. First of all, I2 is AC. Why I2 is AC? Because I2 is the current in the rotor terminals. So in the rotor terminals, you have AC current and AC voltage only. So I2 is AC. So it has both positive and negative. So this is pi, this is 2 pi. Okay. So positive half cycle will be there and negative half cycle will also be there. Now how to find out I2 is that during positive half cycle, you see I2 is same as ID during positive half cycle. Why is? Because during positive half cycle, some of the diodes will be turned on. So the current I2 will be very same as ID. Similarly, during negative half cycle, you will find out current I2 will be minus ID. So this you can get even from the output of your voltage source inverter, current source inverter. Okay. This kind of shape you will get here. Okay. So pulse you will get here. Now the duration of this pulse is 120 degrees. So I hope you can get this even from the operation of your voltage source inverter or current source inverter. From there you can easily get this. Okay. ID. So this height is ID. So duration is 120 degrees. Then for this current waveform, I want to find out the RMS value. That is I2 RMS is equal to 1 by time period. So the general formula is 1 by 0 to time period. 0 to time period. So time period here is 2 pi. I will write directly 1 by 2 pi. Here also 0 to 2 pi. I2 square T of omega T over square root. This is the RMS value generally. So but you can find out the RMS value for both the half cycles, or one half cycle you find out the RMS value. Definitely that will be same. You can even the RMS value of only one half cycle is same as the RMS value of the entire waveform when the waveform is a symmetric one. Now, so you see the waveform, this is a symmetric one. So the positive half cycle, negative half cycle, both are same. So I will just modify this definition of RMS value as something like this: 1 by pi, only one half cycle I'm taking. Now, what is the duration of the pulse here? 120 degrees, so 2 pi by 3. So 2 pi by 3. So what is the value of I2 during the duration? ID. So ID square D of omega T, okay, over square root. This you will get. Then when you simplify this thing, what is the answer you will get here is that square root of 2 by 3, square root of 2 by 3 ID, square root of 2 by 3 ID. This you will get. Okay. Once you got this RMS value, now I am interested to find out. What is the per phase power. So per phase power, in the sense you have three phases in the rotor. So each phase power is how much? So to find out each phase power, first of all, we will find out what is the total power we got here. Somewhere we got, see this now. This is the total power. That is ID square into R into 1 minus alpha. This is the power when you don't consider the inductor resistance. But when you consider the inductor resistance, then what is the power you will get here? ID square into RD plus R into 1 minus alpha. Why I am taking RD here is that we are considering that inductor has some resistance. If you take this is 0, then you will simply get this answer, id square into r into 1 minus alpha. This is the total power dissipation. But we want only per phase. So when we want only per phase, then total power dissipation divided by 3 you do, then you will get the per phase. Then from this 1 by 3, 1 by 3. Now if you see this equation, which equation, I2 RMS is equal to square root of 2 by 3 id, then from this we can find out id. What is id from this? Square root of 3 by 2 into I2 RMS. So when we do the squaring on both sides, then you will get 3 by 2 into I2 RMS square, okay, I2 RMS square into so RD plus R into 1 minus alpha. Okay, then 3 will get cancelled. So what is the per phase power you will get here? The per phase power, so the per phase power, what is the answer you will get here is that it is now that is equal to 1 by 2, or I will take like this, I2 RMS square into RD plus R into 1 minus alpha by 2. Yeah, this is the per phase power we got. So in this per phase power, we can consider this R. This is the effective resistance we can consider, because power in the sense the formula is I square R. So in place of R, what is there here? I will write here effective resistance, or I will take here per phase effective resistance. It's better like this, per phase effective resistance is equal to, what is the perfect effective resistance here? Just in place of this whatever you have, in place of this we'll put here like this. So this is the per phase effective resistance, that is this one which is in the red color circle. So in place of R, whatever it is left, that we can call it as per phase effective resistance.